My name is Jeff Messer. I'm your host, and in spite of all kinds of technical glitches, I am here. Kat is not here with us. I think she's still trying to hook up, and I think Jack, our producer Jack, is here as well.
I am.
Technology, it fails us. It fails us. We're still in the beta testing phase of this new software, so it's hiccups. It happens.
To be fair, this hiccup, from what I'm seeing, I was trying to find Kat's last message, but it doesn't look like it's the software's fault. It looks like her internet went out. So
it's just us. Yeah, it's us. We're not. Yeah.
She said, "Go on without me," and she sent like 8 cry face.
I know. Well, we'll talk about Kat then, since she's not here.
Yeah.
Great job, by the way, last week. Kat's it was short, but it was a great little interview with Marcus Williams, Tuskegee Airman. It's one of those great independent comics that we see it almost every year. We see these guys. They're at Heroes Con. There are a lot of other cons. They're really out there pushing their work, and you got to admit, for creator-owned properties, they really seem to be right there on Main Street with the fans. I've seen them at Heroes Con every year. It's great. The book that they do is fantastic. So I was really glad that we were able to capture that interview from the floor of Heroes Con this past summer.
That's right. And I'm going to do a screen share here in a minute.
Okay.
I know that I was just trying to check real quick. Do they have a current Kickstarter going? Maybe.
No, I don't think they have one currently up and running.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll have to do a little bit of homework on that. I know you can get the complete collection of theirs currently. It's out there, and you can always get it at their table at a con if you see them. But I'm sure if you go to their Facebook page, they'll link you to their website. You can totally pick up a copy. And if you see them at a con, get them to sign it, because it's really great, and it's kind of nice to see so much great work coming from minority voices out there in the comic book industry, and definitely talking about an issue that is unique to the African American culture, dating back to World War II, and what they went through, not being treated as equals, fighting alongside the other troops. And it's just impressive. This is some of the artwork here. Tuskegee heirs, of course, the descendants of the famous Tuskegee Airmen, who kind of are a national treasure at this point. Some amazing stories. I've seen, there's a live play I saw a few years ago that talks about those guys in the training process to go fight in World War II and all the things they overcame. So it's a powerful story, and hats off to these guys for continuing to remind people of that bit of history. So check them out. Definitely support them. And next time we'll try to get a longer interview with them. I know Kat was getting lots of short little snips, but I think it's worth a deeper conversation, really, with those guys. And I know. Yeah,
I was just gonna say, I think this was one of her. This was like her first
on the floor
interview on the floor, flying solo with us. So we'll let you go on this one, I guess.
Yeah. But no, it was good.
But it's really amazing art, and it's a fun story, and it's interesting that because they hit so many groups. You've got youth involved too, which I thought was interesting. And now I haven't gotten a chance to read it, but there is a level of like a robot or a mecha to this story as well, right?
Right. It blends a lot of things. Yeah, it blends a lot of things together while also honoring that historic aspect of it. So definitely totally worth checking out. And while we're on that subject, I got to share something with you here. I picked up a book. This is, I hadn't read it until now. I picked this up off of a table at San Diego Comic-Con, and I think it caught my attention because I had seen this Kickstarter and I'd missed the end of it, so I didn't get to support this Kickstarter. But it's a book called White Ash, right here. It deals with other minority groups, including dwarves and elves. Yeah, right there. See, there you go. But this really is a fun book. I finished reading it finally. It's a hardcover collection. I don't know if you can really see it. It's massively oversized.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bigger than your average comic. This is volume 1. So it's a big book. It has a complete story in it. Really fantastic, fascinating stuff. It's a little fantasy. It's a little.
Is that like a it all comes as one storyline, or do they release it in issues and then release that?
Well, as is the custom with a lot of Kickstarter projects, they released it as individual issues and then collected it in the hardcover. And I'm one of these guys. I like to support the individual issues coming out, but I also love it. I love it when I find a project that I've missed out on for like 3 years, and they're going, the last issue is out, and you can get all 6 issues in one Kickstarter. Or, hey, this is our hardcover collection of the series that we put out. Really fun stuff. This is, if you get a chance to check these guys out, definitely do it. White Ash is the book, and it's kind of elves and dwarves and undead beings living in mining country out in West Virginia. And it's like the dwarves are kind of the miners digging in the mines. A little bit of Snow White, I guess. But it's a darker fantasy kind of story, and it has it's not really for kids, but it's a lot of fun. Check it out.
All of our show kind of starts with not for kids, right? And then
that's true. Yeah, kids.
Instead of telling you when something's R around here, we'll tell you when it's actually for kids. How about that?
That's right. Yeah. We'll do a special kids only show at some point. Maybe I don't know. I doubt it.
DuckTales comics. Well, that's funny you bring that up because this is something I'm currently reading, Irredeemable.
Oh yes, no, that's a great series.
It is a Eisner nominated project as were something you worked on, but it's funny because last time you and I talked or did one of these shows, I think you mentioned Mark Waid, which I literally at the time I had just gotten this and hadn't started reading it yet. And I didn't realize it was a Mark Waid project. So it was like very odd. Like you were talking about Mark Waid, and then I picked this up to read it, and I was like, oh, well, I'll be damned. But this is something that I totally missed out on. I had not heard of it. Somebody recommended it, and remarkably actually got all of the trades, the whole set, like for the price of what this one should have cost me new. So, so
that's
I got
the deals.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, it is like I bet having these issues is awesome because I suspect this is one of those things that will probably get made. And like, if you've seen a spoiler alert, if you've seen Brightburn, this is very much kind of the same plot. And I've heard that there's some argument that he may have read this first, and it gave him the idea for the movie. Yeah. But if you haven't read, if you're looking for something kind of dark that's not brand new, but you can sit down and read through all the trades, Irredeemable has been really good. I really recommend it. I've loved it.
That's a great series, highly recommended. Since we're going backwards in time, I got something really obscure to share.
Okay.
I have a brand new eBay obsession. It's dangerous when you get on the eBay obsessions, but this one this one's not as crazy as you might think. There were once upon a time back in, I want to say 1984, 85. You could only get these at your bookstores, your B. Dalton's or your Walden Books, right?
Okay.
You remember those, right? The old bookstores in the mall. They were magazine size, so they were a little bit bigger. And I've got some right here, and I'll show you. Right here is one. These are science fiction graphic novels, right? Okay. So you can see that it's bigger than, and I've got a comic here to put it side by side, so you can see that it is bigger than a comic. Okay, so it's a square bound. 48 pages, and this is issue number 1. This is the first one that was put out. Star Raiders. Okay. Star Raiders, and this is, as far as I know, and this could be a nice cocktail party bit of trivia. This is the very beginning of the term graphic novel. Okay, this is where the term came from. DC Comics were the ones who did it first, and then Marvel, the death of Captain Marvel was one. There was a New Mutants one like this. both
Are
companies.
you throwing shade at Marvel?
Well, no. I'm just saying that everybody follows everybody else in the trends. First company, a lot of independent. First, Eclipse, Pacific, they were doing these as well in the early 80s. But
so when you say that's the first graphic novel, though, will you clarify how you're defining that, right? Because
the term graphic novel, the term graphic novel was created as a part of promoting these. So they were trying to appeal to people in bookstores of not, these are not comic books. They're bigger than comic books. Oh, they're hardbound. It's $6.95 cover price, so it's more expensive. These are graphic novels, so they were appealing to adults, or they were trying to appeal to adults. And there's a whole series of them, science fiction and fantasy. I've been eBay collecting them. I've been getting them. The Medusa chain. So these are, and I'll show you. Eventually, they went into more classic material. Science fiction writer Robert Bloch, Robert Silverberg. So they were adapting classics. And here's a great one for you. Here's a book called The Sand Kings, written by a guy I think some people know. Who later became famous. And on the back, here's his picture at the time. Young George R.R. Martin. This was before he was a famous science fiction author. He was still writing science fiction. So these books, when they came out when I was a kid, it absolutely was not something that I could buy. It was A, they were too expensive, and B, my parents would give me funny looks if I tried to buy them. And so I never owned any of these until I ran across a few on eBay for like $3 or $4 a piece. And I've been buying them like crazy. So I have a whole collection now, and I got a couple more coming, but there's a whole stack of them right here.
Oh, wow.
So this has been my new obsession, is collecting these bad boys. But the cool part is that it ties back to the beginning of where the term graphic novel came from. It was created for that format. And, a little trivia, a little cool aspect for you. In fact, hey, do we have a trivia question we want to throw out for today? Because I've got a great one.
Okay, yeah. Hold on. Let's.
Okay, all right.
I'm dying to hear. Sorry, let me flip back over here.
Oh, sure.
All right, so we've got a stack of stuff going out.
Okay.
And while we're on the subject, I think we're gonna. Do you have an idea about your trivia question already? You said.
I totally do, and this one's going to be a tough one. This is going to require some work, and it's tied to these.
Okay.
It's tied to these books. It's tied to the graphic novels, right here.
I'm getting my pen out.
All right.
Because we are going to make this a special prize this time. We're going to make it a T-shirt.
Oh, and this one's going to be tough. You're going to have to really do your homework to get this answer. That's right.
All right. So for your chance, if you're currently watching, I see some people are popping in. I see Kat is chatting us up.
She's watching. There we go. She can't be with us, but she's watching.
So
1983 is when this came out. So 1983 is where the term graphic novel came into existence. So you ready for the trivia question?
Absolutely.
All right.
Whoever gets this wins a T-shirt, and you will get a pick from 3 shirts.
There you go. Good choice. All right. So Star Raiders. This is very specific to this book. This was the first one that DC Comics published, illustrated by Jose Luis Garcia Lopez. Now that is an important name for you in your Google searching. Jose Luis Garcia Lopez, the artist. Okay. This was not just DC Comics. This was co-published between DC Comics and what other company? That is the trivia question. The answer will shock you. I guarantee it will shock you. But here we go. What other company co-published Star Raiders with DC Comics? The very first quote-unquote graphic novel to be published. So there you go.
And I'm just going to throw this out there. Kat, I know you're watching, but you don't get to get to win.
That's right.
T-shirt. As
families and relatives are not eligible to win on Jeopardy. Sorry. That's right. But anyway, so there you go. That's a trivia question that's going to require some homework. So have at it.
That's right.
Yeah. So yeah, good stuff.
You can message us on Facebook. You can also respond in the chat here as it's live. Obviously, when the live ends, we will not do it based on the chat. We'll probably be looking at messages or emails. You can email us at info@issueswithshow.com.
There you go.
So good luck, guys.
Yep, for sure. And we'll whoever the first winner is that gets to us via email, if no one gets it in the live feed, you'll be the lucky winner of a T-shirt of your choice. So we got lots of them. Kat says she was going to buzz in with the answer. Yeah, I don't think she knows the answer. She can text us the answer if she knows it. So there you go. So anyway, so there you go. Some fun comic stuff. So Jack and I both have obsessions with the past, with books from the past.
Yeah. All right. So I'm aware we have other things to talk about, but
yeah. It's a slow news week though, so we're good. We can stall a little bit.
It isn't. I've actually heard some stuff, but real quick. I mean, pools for me this week involve some like really old X-Men. Right. I know for those of you who don't know, if pools are just kind of your weekly. You're so happy you got it, and I got these all at really good prices. Some Ghost Rider. I'm always filling out my older stuff. Something I was actually already have it, but Spawn #9 I just got it at a good price.
Oh, and was nice.
I do like my old Spawn comics, but the big stuff that happened in just this past couple of weeks here is if we've talked about it before, is Absolute Carnage and House of X and Powers of X.
Right.
And I'm not really sure how many variants they're doing total. It feels like about 6. But they do have like connecting cover variants and stuff like that. And obviously the artwork has been pretty stellar. It's pretty amazing. So this is number 4 of 6 for House of X. And then this would be House of X number 3. So if you're reading these, you already know where I'm going with this, but they really have changed things up. This is different from really what we're used to as X-Men fans. They changed all the rules. They changed kind of some of what you just assumed always. That they haven't really changed anything that was set in stone. But I have to say, read this. You're gonna love it. And I'm gonna warn everybody now. We're gonna have a little spoiler alert.
Oh no! Spoiler alert.
So before I go further, hit mute for a little bit or something, because this is upsetting, and I wouldn't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't read it yet. But check this bad boy out, because they're fighting something called a mother mold. And if you know what the master mold is, you can kind of guess maybe what a mother mold is. It creates these giant sentinels. Mother mold makes master molds, and master molds make sentinels, and sentinels kill all mutants. And they send up sort of the team. They've got Wolverine and Nightcrawler, and they've gone back to calling her Miss Marvel, but as we mostly know her, Jean Grey. And they go up in space to fight this thing, and something happens. And I'm not going to give everything away, but a whole bunch of the stock X-Men that we all know and love just die. Right. And they die pretty horribly and pretty absolutely. Like, this isn't really something that seems like they can go, oh, this was a dream, or, oh, we brought them back. This seems, everything so far in this run of comics seems very definite. I think they're trying to make a point.
Yeah.
And
well, and I will say that there are a lot of comic shop guys that I've talked to, some industry insiders, who predicted that this was the direction it was going to go, just based on the writer was kind of known for coming in and really mixing things up, and they're like, oh, he's going to kill off a bunch of characters. Just wait, and boom, there you go. So it always pays to know your comic shop owners. They know what's going on.
Well, and I actually, some of the other stuff I got this week, and so if you're not reading it, I highly recommend Absolute Carnage #2 is now out.
Right.
Which is different writer, but some of the same aspects of you're getting a real twist on the story, on what has been known forever.
You said you got Ghost Rider. Is that the new Ghost Rider that's coming out?
No, I'm not currently reading the new Ghost Rider. But so just a real quick for those of you, the connecting covers See if I can get a good all the shine.
You got too much shine. That's all right. It's yeah. There you go. There you go.
So they have some really cool connecting covers on the variants. But Absolute Carnage has been awesome. And oops, I'm going to bring us back up here. Absolute Carnage. One thing I'm going to say real quick is that
we can undo the spoiler alert, right? Are we going to unspoiler alert?
Yeah. You can listen now. No more spoilers.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
No more spoiler. It's gone. It's dead. Gone. Poof. Hang on. No. Whatever. Anyway.
But this is sort of like my prediction, right? If by chance you know who Null is, Knull. Null is now, because of Absolute Carnage, Null has been rocketed into this huge position of power. The character has changed. Basically, Null has become the god of symbiotes. And it's really a fascinating twist on things. But Null, if you go back, and this is based off of what you were saying, know your local comic shop guy. Because I was talking to one of my local comic book shop guys, and he said to me, Null, his first appearance was in Thor, God of Thunder #6. And he's like in the background or something. And then the artist or the writer saw this character in the background and thought, that guy's cool, and brought him in Venom #2 or 3 or whatever it is when he took over. And that's kind of all part of this world. If you've been following from Venom to Silver Surfer to Absolute Carnage, all these really kind of connect. But he has taken this guy Null and really launched him into something. So if by chance you have Thor, God of Thunder #6, which apparently was in dollar bins, like right before.
Oh, sure,
It was a nothing comic. Like everybody, you could get it for a couple bucks. And I actually have a copy of this comic, but it's in storage. It is now worth, like, it's gone from dollar comic to minimum $50. I've seen it. It's getting closer to more around $100. And I have a prediction that this could be a really big deal as far as our age group and the cinematic world. I cannot possibly imagine, with the popularity of Absolute Carnage and what they've done to their universe by creating Null in the way that they have and all that this won't be the next big cinematic thing. I think Null could be the next Thanos. And that's my prediction, is that we will see Sony, after it's fought so hard over Spider-Man and Venom, I think, and we're going to see Carnage here soon, I think they might go that route. They might take Null and turn it into their Thanos. And I would recommend, if you are interested in this kind of thing, buy a copy of Thor, God of Thunder #6 with Null's very first appearance, and Venom, I think #3, with his first full appearance. I would buy those now.
Go get them, right?
Investment, if you're into that kind of thing, because I suspect that they'll be way more expensive. I saw today both copies were about $100 combined on eBay if you found a seller who was really nice about it. So
sure, and I've got the first 2 Carnage issues, the introduction of Carnage in my collection. So I'm just waiting, to cash in for $1 million now. We're collectors. We never sell. We never sell.
Yeah, that's the thing. I said to somebody, I said, I have a copy of this Thor comic. I'm so amazed that Null's actually going to make some value out of it, but also just interesting to see that character evolve. And they said, oh, so now you're going to sell the comic, right? I'm like, I'd like to say yes, but I'm not. I know
No, I'm just not that way. Not that way. So speaking of local comic shop guys, I got some goodies too. I picked up in the past week. My comic shop guy, he knows what I like. He knows I like the old Keith Giffen and J.M. DeMatteis Justice League from back in the day. And DC has got this thing going on right now called Deceased, which I completely ignored because I'm like, that's just such a shitty gimmick. Deceased. I hate that. But he told me, there's an issue of it out. It's a standalone single issue that features the Blue Beetle and Booster Gold and all of the original Justice League International cast. So I picked it up. I read it. It's kind of fun. It's like zombies taking over and killing everybody in the DC universe. I don't know what the hell else is going on. I heard that Alfred killed zombie Batman with a shotgun in issue 1, so it might be worth looking at. I don't know. Pretty cool. Also, recent Doomsday Clock. Hang on. Doomsday Clock, number 11. You thought it would never come out, but there it is, the penultimate issue. Little Watchmen homage right there, the blood. By issue 12, it'll be down to there. But Doomsday Clock 11 came out. I may go ahead and start back at issue number 1 and read it. Look at that. Jack's got it too. Yeah. I may go back and start reading it.
If you guys aren't reading this, read it. This is a great run.
One issue left, so you can go ahead and start reading it if you've been waiting. It may only be 6 months or a year before you have to get the 12th issue. I don't know.
If you haven't heard, it takes a really long time for these comics to fucking.
But you know, I heard an interesting theory about that. The original Watchmen book, when it came out back in the 80s, it had notorious delays toward the end of the run as well. And somebody said, do you think that they're just like totally pranking the readers by making sure that each issue of Doomsday Clock comes out as far apart as the issues of Watchmen did by the end? And I thought, well, that's kind of shitty because issue number 11.
That would be annoying as spit, honestly.
Oh, wouldn't it though? But Jeff Johns, the writer, is such a super fan. I could see him doing that. So place your bets. I think you got 8 months now till issue 12 comes out, if that's the case.
That's bold.
Yeah. I know it's really crazy. Also, I got this. Jack, did you pick one of these up?
Which one is this?
Legion of Superheroes Millennium, the big new thing at DC. Right there it is, the big L. Look at that. Brian Michael Bendis. It's got Jim Lee and a bunch of other artists doing short segments in this. It's really, really good. Part 1 of 2, it reintroduces. Basically, what they're doing here is they're taking modern day DC Comics and leading it all the way through 1,000 years of history, and then they're introducing the Legion of Superheroes. We talked about that a few weeks ago. It's interesting. I'm curious to see where it goes, but this is out. It came out last week. Definitely go check it out. If you're a first timer, this is your entry point. This is your on ramp for the Legion of Superheroes. So check it out. And one more to share. Gosh, I think issue number 2 of this may be out by now. I picked it up at the suggestion of a local comic shop, the guys at Pastimes Comics. This is from Boom Studios. Once and Future King, number 1. Number 2 should be out any day now. Oh my gosh, this is like Sword and Sorcery, King Arthur meets. It's got dragons. It's got little old lady.
Full screen. I want to see this.
Yeah. So it's got
your internet connection's a little slow right now, but that's.
Yeah. And it's got this little old lady in a retirement home who's like a dragon slayer, and her grandson bails her out of the retirement home, and she's like, "Here's all the weapons that we need. Here's all this stuff," and then she goes and kicks ass.
Okay,
it's like a 70-year-old lady, so it's pretty fun.
That makes me want to see it. And what's that called again?
It's called Once and Future King, or Once and Future. No, just Once and Future. Sorry, I'm thinking Once and Future. Boom Studios. Check it out. It's Kieran Gillen is the writer. He's known for a lot of really cool stuff. So I enjoyed the crap out of it. I can't wait to get issue number 2, which should be out any day now. So you can probably pick up 1 and 2 at the same time. So anyway, so that's my comic goodness for the week.
Yeah, that's one I had not heard of, and really, I'm just taking a quick look on.
I went into my comic shop, and one of the guys there who runs the place, he was like, "Dude, Once and Future, get it, you'll like it." And then he opens it up and shows me the picture of this granny killing a dragon, and he goes, "How could you not like that?" I'm going, all right, I'll buy it. It's ease up, I'll buy it. And he was right. The guy went back the next week and he's like, "Did I tell you?" I was like, "Yeah, you told me. It was really good." So
yeah, there's some pretty awesome. If anybody, gets the chance to just take a look at some of this artwork here.
It's fantastic. Sure. The art is by Dan Mora, and this is
some great stuff, right? Like we got some arms coming off.
Yep, it's a lot of fun. It's like medieval dragon slayers in the modern world kind of thing. So go and check it out for sure. It's definitely worth picking up. All right, we had some other things we want to talk about today. Yeah. Before we wrap things up. Now Jack, I know you were interested in seeing it, even though you're not a DC guy necessarily. I could have cared less about the new Joker movie 6 months ago. I was like, whatever. I could take it, I could leave it. Yeah. Todd Phillips directing it. Yeah, Joaquin Phoenix. Sure, whatever. Now it has won some major awards and some foreign festivals, and there is some serious buzz behind it. There's also a lot of negative press because apparently people are saying, "Ooh, it kind of it glorifies the kind of crazed loner using violence as a tactic. So when you've got those people pissed off, it must be hitting a chord. It must be good for some reason. So
this is the big thing, and I'm just going to bring up the poster real quick. This is the
yeah.
big thing I will say is that I heard that it had like I don't know, it was like an 8-minute standing ovation at its first screening.
Yes, it's gotten huge response.
Yeah, so right there, that tells you something, that it caught a lot of people's attention. But the newest trailer that they put out, in my opinion, is what really shifted my opinion. It looks beautiful. It looks like a really gorgeous film.
There's a lot of artistry on display there. And I think, wouldn't it be crazy if there are two guys who played Joker who have Oscars for playing the Joker?
Well, and
how weird is that, right?
If you aren't following sort of the news in general about this particular film, you may not know, but it does not really tie into a Batman. That's the whole point. And a lot of people are like mad. They're like, how could you make a Joker film that doesn't tie into Batman? But the whole point of this film apparently is that it's its own standalone film. And it's sort of a human interest piece, right? Maybe it's more focused on the tragedy of this guy's life and capturing how the world sort of broke him down.
But it just uses a lot of the Batman universe, like Arkham Asylum, Thomas Wayne, Gotham City. It uses that tapestry, but it creates a what if, like, alternate universe. What if this guy was the Joker? Because they've never truly committed to who is the Joker. It's always been up in the air. It could be a nobody. It could be, the guy who in the Batman movie from 30 years ago, the guy who shot Bruce Wayne's parents, which that was insane. That was the first time that had come up. So that was the great thing about Heath Ledger's performance, was that they incorporated that every time he's like, how I got these scars, and he would tell a different story. So it's like, is he telling us the truth or is he making it up? Who is this guy? Does it matter? Right. And a lot of people say that it doesn't matter. And so those people are a little ticked off at this because this is going to be too definitive as to who the Joker is. It's like, no, this is just one universe of who the Joker could possibly be. And, I think people are going to walk away from it going, this is the definitive Joker now. This could be a game changer for that character, as well as the movie DC universe and all of that stuff. So.
Well, and one of the theories that I keep hearing floating around is that the Joker we all know isn't really the very first Joker, that he was inspired by somebody else. That wasn't necessarily super criminal, but somebody who had a personal experience, and he took the visual. He kind of ran with the emblem. And so this is the original Joker that none of us really knew about.
Because it's set in the 1970s as well. So it's, it's taken things back far enough that, okay, this is not contemporary. So this could be, who knows? You're right. This could be, this guy did this thing, and then the later Joker that everybody knows came along after this. So it leaves the door open.
The artwork in that new trailer, there's just something about that seems very independent filmish,
Totally, yeah.
It almost feels more like a Little Miss Sunshine that somehow went very tragic.
I think that's part of the idea. I think I know Kevin Smith has said this in some of his podcasts, and I'll totally reiterate this. Especially when the Joker thing came out, and they thought, they're going to make like an indie film, which, by their standards is still $50 million budget, but is an indie film compared to 150 to 200 million. This thing is Logan was another film that I think a lot of people are pointing to, going, that was unexpected. What they did with Wolverine, with the Logan film, and they're comparing that and Joker as saying these are they're breaking the mold for what we expect budget wise and comic book wise. But Kevin Smith had said, why are they spending $200 million to make a Batman movie when they could do a haunted house horror movie of Batman fighting his way out of Arkham Asylum in one location, one set, 90 minutes. It's R-rated. And it's just like the grittiest Batman, he could be having like hallucinations because of the Scarecrow, and he's trying to fight his way out of all of the villains. You could have the Riddler and the Joker, and you could have all of these villains in there on into the soul of the character and do something smaller that is as effective, if not more effective. And the Joker movie may be proving that point.
Well, and I think people in general, I mean, there's sort of a time where, yeah, I know they're making another one, but there was a time where I think the Fast and Furious films had kind of worn people out, and that there was like an era there of just over the top effects and giving up on story arc and character development. And I think Logan's a good example of people who are like, no, we actually would appreciate the same amount of effort, even when you're doing superhero films. Sometimes it would be nice to just put in that effort.
Now, let's not discount the fact that maybe all of these Fast and Furious films only exist to make us forget about Tokyo Drift.
I think they do. I haven't actually been able to watch. I've never been able to sit through that film all the way. I see.
Right. Well, that was number 2, right? That was the second one, right? I don't know, but it was like such an embarrassment.
Movies.
I could care less. But I was like, really? They made a franchise after they made that turkey, and apparently they've turned that ship around.
I feel like Tokyo Drift maybe was like a third one. I don't know.
Like that.
I know that. I mean, there's a whole lot we could go into there. I know that there's some backstory with the stunt guys from Fast and Furious where they brought in real guys after Tokyo Drift when it bombed, and they got the franchise back on its feet by actually walking away from as much computer-generated effects and focusing more on actually shooting some of this stuff for real. But I think that in general, people have gotten used to the films being better, the Avengers, even if you go into the huge cinematic universe, people want more character development. And that's why you have to have multiple films, is so that each film can really dive into each character. Otherwise they're just these two idiots nobody cares about. Which I guess, so now we've been, I saw something where Sony said they were closing the door on Spider-Man conversations.
Yeah.
So that's, right. That's a done.
Well, but I mean, they were, Fox and Sony classically have years ago have said, no, there's no way we'll ever wheel and deal. I mean, that's just talk. We'll see how it goes, but money talks, and if they offer enough money, it'll happen. It sucks that Tom Holland may be affected, by this, and
great Spider-Man, basically.
Yeah. They're going to have to rewrite huge amounts of the next parts of their planning for the Marvel Universe if Spider-Man's gone.
Right.
So, I mean, they laid so much groundwork for him to be the next de facto leader, and now it's like it's gone. Yeah.
Well, and I know we got Eternals, and the MCU's got a lot they can still do. Let's be honest. They've talked about doing Silver Surfer, and again, if you're not reading it, I would recommend checking out Silver Surfer Black. This is
I've heard good stuff about that.
But Silver Surfer Black Venom, Absolute Carnage dual tie-in a way that I think would be super easy for Sony to say they don't even care about Spider-Man. They could create their own universe without Spider-Man. And maybe that's why they were fighting Disney the way they were, is they were like, we want Spider-Man, and we want to use Spider-Man.
Right.
But he isn't like the keystone to our operation, the way that a lot of people might assume that he is. But so there's that news. That one of the things I was excited to hear is that they're talking about Galactus might be the next phase or part of the next phase with the MCU, and Liam Neeson has been rumored as being like at the top of their list, or one of the people at the top of their list to voice.
Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. And Galactus gets you the Silver Surfer as well. So
which is
and the Fantastic Four.
That's right.
Big rumors that the villain or the antagonist in Black Panther 2 is going to be the Submariner, Namor, who is tied to the Fantastic Four. So it feels like there's a lot of things
Namor's tied to everybody. Let's be honest. Namor's one of those characters that like, you're kind of like, I don't know. I think most people I know joke about Namor. He's like a joke character almost. They're like, and then Namor shows up. He shows up in everybody's comic, and he just, when you describe him,
and he's a big D-bag too. Nobody likes him. I mean, he's a complete
he's a good guy, but nobody cares because he's a D-bag.
Yeah, exactly. He's like hitting on Reed Richards' wife and all that stuff, and she's like into it, and it's like, wait a minute, you got a guy who has the ability to stretch any body part and make it larger, and you're going with the fish dude, really? Whatever.
Which
right.
brings up all sorts of other questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Rubber man for the fish stick man. It's like, come on.
I am going to give a shout out. So I can't find it while we're chatting, but we do have a list. We have the 1,000th person to like our Facebook page is getting a prize. And we're still going. And keep that in mind when you like our page or share our videos or whatever. You're always in the running for this stuff. I'm going to give a shout out to Dimitri. Dimitri, see you. We know you're there, and you have won again. Dimitri's going to be our first ever 2-time winner.
How about that? Congrats.
He works hard at it, so mad props, Dimitri. You know your comics without a doubt.
Well, it's insane too because he got the hard trivia question. It's like, come on, we owe the guys some serious props for actually knowing the hardest question we've asked so far.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, good job, man.
So, and we're gonna do something special with Dimitri. I'm gonna reach out to him, and we also we had on episodes. This is going back 2 episodes for those of you who've been paying attention to the breakdown. So 2 episodes back, episode 12, we asked about the leak, or it's not a leak, but the Disney reveal of Rey with the double lightsaber, where she kind of Darth Mauled a switchblade Swiss Army knife thing on us and went into the dual lightsaber.
Right. No, the Swiss Army knife was something somebody else
No.
That's.
We asked for fans to send us their fan theory, and we were very specific. They were like the funniest, like the most entertaining is what's going to win, not something that is believable. And Katie Brunkhorst, I believe is how you say her name. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry, but Kay, you're a winner. We feel like you went out on a limb and you went gutsy with your joke, as it was a red lightsaber. You can go back and see Katie's response from the live video. I was like, I'll tell you that much, but that's it.
I was sitting here going, is Jack going to read that quote out loud, or is he just no? Let people go find it.
It's not that I don't want to read it. It's that people should go see all the other wonderful comment.
Go check it out. It is worth checking out for sure. And that's the other thing too, is that I think we're maybe within a month of a major next trailer for Star Wars coming out. They've dropped a little bit of the sizzle reel stuff with the Rey shocker. Mm-hmm. I think we're due for another big trailer before Halloween. So buckle up, kid.
They kind of set you up by a holiday. It almost feels like, right? They lead you up to Christmas.
Yeah. So they'll probably roll out. They'll roll out another major trailer in the next month, and then we'll see a lot of small stuff in the final lead up. I'm curious to see where it goes. And the Mandalorian, of course, they're going to roll a lot of stuff out before November 12th when they start the new Disney streaming platform.
I was going to ask you. That's the official date, right?
November 12th is when. And I'm trying to think now. They're not going to be binging, like dropping a full season. I think you have to go week to week.
I think I heard that. I also heard that I think Netflix, along with a lot of the other services, are shifting that way. Right? They're not
moving in that direction. Yeah.
Which I understand, actually, but for a lot of us, we'll just not watch them and then binge them all at once. I know that sounds terrible, but that's the kind of person I'm.
Sure. I'm the same way, and I'm waiting for. I'm really excited for the Doom Patrol series from DC, which is coming out on Blu-ray in a couple of weeks, and they're really smart. They're really smart because they're pricing their Blu-rays at $19.99 retail for the whole season. So $20, you buy the whole season of that. And then I haven't seen the Teen Titans yet, but I'm waiting for Doom Patrol. Timothy Dalton is in it, and I'm a huge Timothy Dalton fan, and I can't wait to see it.
Titans is good. I will say the thing about Titans is if you go into watching it thinking you're watching Teen Titans, that's going to be frustrating. It's something fresh and new, and we you know what? There's some people I'd like to reach out to. We might have a special guest to dig into that a little bit. But one of the things that we know, if you guys aren't already on the newsletter, you will see down below here under my name and stuff, our website pops up. Feel free to pop over to our website, If you go all the way down to the bottom of the page, there's always something that says subscribe. Anywhere on the page, if it says subscribe, you can punch in your email and you're in our newsletter. Our newsletter will reveal to you our upcoming guests, our upcoming prizes, and all the other good stuff that we have going on.
Yeah, keep people posted on the progress we're making with all the interviews that we did, the big show. Just as kind of maybe a final little button on things, I went to Dragon Con a couple of weeks ago in Atlanta and had a great time. I saw a number of folks that we interviewed. It was fantastic. Each and every one of them, as soon as I introduced myself, they were like, "Oh, how's the footage? How did it look?" They're really excited about it.
Right.
June Brigman was there. Colleen Doran was there. Keith Giffen, JMD Mateus was there. Yannick Paquette was there. And God help us, we got back into a conversation about the difference between American barbecue and Canadian barbecuing. Like, he was explaining to me the size of his Weber grill that he has on his back porch in Canada. So, we fell right back into the barbecue conversation. It was nuts. It was insane. But he was awesome.
North Carolinian barbecue lover, I applaud that you continued the debate.
We did. My wife was with me on this trip, so when I introduced her, I said, he's the guy we talked barbecue with. And immediately he was like, "Oh yes, the barbecue. Oh yes." So it was great. He was a trooper. Everybody I saw, and that's almost half of our guests were at Dragon Con that we interviewed. So I saw them again, and
I think Jeff just got trapped in some kind of frozen screen. I guess I won't say hell. We'll call it a temporary holding place, but his screen froze up. But I know that, a lot of the people at Dragon Con he was thrilled to see, and that we were thrilled that not only did they remember us, but that they seemed really excited about the interviews themselves. So if you guys don't know, go to issueswithshow.com. You can go to the website and actually see a list of everyone that we interviewed for let's go here real quick. I'll even bring it up for you. But there's a list of everybody that we interviewed for the first season at Heroes Con. And you can just go straight to issueswithshow.com. You can check out our pilot as it gets launched here very, very soon, which we're really excited about. And you can also go to season 1, and you will see everybody that we interviewed, a little breakdown on who they are, some of the stuff they've done. And we also try to post, as these guys all have, all these men and women have amazing projects going on. That we highly recommend you keep tabs on through following us on Facebook. We appreciate everybody tuning in with us. I got a whole bunch of prizes to mail out, it sounds like. And as always, share our Facebook page, share this video for the chance to win. And from Jeff and Kat, we still see you, we still love you. This is Jack Egan.